Hey, it's Aaron the Ho, and here's what we had to do to the LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air before doing this review. We took it apart and realized that the backs of the LifeProof Nuud and the free for the iPad Air are identical. We tested its waterproofing, and then we dropped it a ton. Real usage, real reviews, relevant news. Mobilereviews-eh.ca. The LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air is one of the very few cases that offers complete water and shock protection. And it does all of this without a screen protector. So you get that nice au-natural feeling of your iPad Air touchscreen. Now, based on our time with this case, we gave it a score of 4.2 A's out of 5, which makes it one of the higher iOS cases that we've reviewed thus far. One of the best parts about this case is the lack of screen protector. And I'm a big fan of that because I like the feel of the glass. I don't like the feel of other things on top of the glass. On top of the already exceptional access to the iPad, being able to touch my touchscreen is so nice. The worst thing about this case is actually the lack of a screen protector, because if you're very clumsy and you'd like to drop its face first, then you're going to shatter the iPad Air screen. Now, without the screen protector, the chance of something happening to your iPad inside this case in terms of water damage increases because there's another O-ring that you have to deal with. We're going to step through the details of the case. We're going to talk about the design, protection, as well as functionality of the iPad inside this case. We don't assign arbitrary numbers to any of our scores. Our scores are based on relative comparisons to all the other cases that we've reviewed for the similar device. So we don't try to make anything up. Everything is relative so that you guys get the best comparison possible. So we're going to step through the details of this case. I'm also going to tell you how to install a screen protector on it and what you can do. And lastly, I am going to tell you why I'm a little disappointed with LifeProof in terms of their iPad Air cases. In terms of design, the LifeProof Nuud is only 10 millimeters thick and weighs only 208 grams, which doesn't seem like much, but it will double the thickness of your iPad, as well as adding 40% more weight. The entire case will add about an extra 3/8 of an inch around your entire iPad Air. Installing the case is fairly straightforward. Put the iPad Air in the back panel and snap the case together. Taking the case apart now is a breeze, especially with this awesome orange uninstall tool that LifeProof includes. Pop it into one of the corners and turn. This tool, as simple as it sounds, makes a world of difference. This is one of the original Nuuds that we reviewed. This is actually the case that started off this entire review channel, so that's pretty neat. But if you look at the bottom, it's very, very mangled. The LifeProof free and Nuud cases for the iPad minis have the same problem, is that you use coins to pop them open, and that's what LifeProof tells you to do, but you, over time, begin to deform the plastic so much that it's almost impossible to uninstall the case. With this tool, we've done so many installations, and it barely does anything to the case, and so just so many props to LifeProof for just giving us a simple, stupid little orange plastic thing. I'm always very surprised at how solid LifeProof cases are. Even the cheapest feeling LifeProof cases are quite tough. And we know this because, well, with the free for the iPhone 5S, we tore it apart and we stabbed the screen protector with a bunch of kitchen knives, and the thing generally survived. This Nuud is no different. The case fits incredibly well together, and there isn't a single part of the case that I am uncomfortable in terms of build quality and subsequently the level of protection it will provide. If you do want to see how the case gets installed, as well as some of the other features of this case, I do recommend that you check out the unbox and install video, as well as the feature videos that we've done for the LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air. They're in the video annotations at the end of this video. LifeProof said this case was waterproof, so we threw it into the river. LifeProof said that the case was shockproof, so we dropped it a bunch of times, actually a lot of times. And our iPad Air survived. The LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air is waterproof up to 6.6 feet for 1 hour and shockproof up to 4 feet, and based on our tests, we have no reason to believe otherwise. The case is made waterproof by the O-rings that run along the inside of the back panel, as well as an O-ring that is attached and or glued to the front panel of the case. The headphone jack is made waterproof by a plug, and the lightning port connector is covered by this orange gasket, which sits inside a latch. For our drop test, we spun dropped it, and if you don't know what that is, I do recommend that you check out the drop video. We did that video while it was snow raining. If this is the first time you're watching one of our videos, I do encourage you to click subscribe. Our entire channel is just based on helping you guys get the most out of iOS, everything and anything. So product reviews, tips and tricks, as well as news. We put out content 2 to 3 times a week, and I guarantee you, you will not be bored. In terms of screen protection, well, there isn't any. The main selling point of this case is that there is no screen protector, so by default, it's going to suffer from really bad screen protection. Now, the only saving grace about the screen protection is that there is an approximately 1/4 inch clearance between the edge of the case and the iPad Air's touchscreen. So if you were to drop it on anything that is smaller than 1/4 inch, it's not going to do anything to the iPad screen because it's far enough from the ground. Now, LifeProof doesn't include a screen protector for you to install like the LifeProof Nuud for the iPhone 5Ss, and that's kind of annoying given that this is a $130 case. So you'd think they'd be able to throw in like a $5 or $10 screen protector that is cut to fit the LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air. When it comes to installing the screen protector, there's two lines of thought. The first line is that you can just install the screen protector, install the case, and hope for the best. For example, I've got a 1mm thick stack of paper between the iPad screen and the case, and it's snapping together. Now, if you were to do this, there's no way to tell if your case will still be waterproof and or shockproof. Now, the second option, and this is the one I would recommend if you were planning on installing a screen protector, is actually to cut it so that it fits on the inside of the edges so that you don't actually disrupt any sort of the waterproof sealing. Just as long as you watch the bottom of the case, make sure that the screen protector is only cut all the way up to the touchscreen so that it doesn't get past the plastic water seal right above the home button. The best part of the LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air is the access of your iPad inside the case. It's got no screen protector, so getting to your screen is awesome, but there is no problem getting to the power buttons, the volume buttons. Your headphone jack, the hole is big enough for you to use some larger headphone plugs, which is nice. The Lightning port connector is large enough to accommodate third-party connectors. The sound coming from the iPad Air isn't muted, and pictures taken by the iPad Air are generally pretty clear as the optical glass doesn't really distort any of the photos. Screen usability and viewability are again top-notch. Again, there's no screen protector. The front of the case is far enough from the touchable area that you're not going to have any problem accessing the edge of the touchscreen for your iPad Air. All in all, this is a very solid case, and it should be because it's $130. The only case that is more expensive out of all the cases that we reviewed is actually a Snow Lizard SLX Extreme 5, which has a battery pack and can be charged by a solar panel. That one's more expensive. And that's actually one of the reasons that I'm a little annoyed with LifeProof, because the Free is $110, the Nuud is $130, the back panel is almost exactly the same. The biggest difference is the front panel. Now, the Free has a screen protector, the Nuud does not, but it has an O-ring, so I don't quite see how, the amount of material seems like the same amount to me, so I don't know why it's $20 more, and that just seems like, well, we're getting kind of gouged. So LifeProof Nuud for the iPad Air is an exceptional case, 4.2 A's out of 5. That's a very high score. So if you're a person who's looking to read something in the bathtub, watch a movie while you shower, this is a good case for that. If you want to see the detailed comparison between the LifeProof Free and the LifeProof Nuud, I do encourage you to check out the comparison table that's on our website as we break everything down in a similar fashion to what this review video has been broken down into. I'm Aaron the Ho. I am one of the hosts at Mobilereviews-eh.ca. If you have any questions about the case, leave them in the comments section below and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Find us on Twitter, Google+, as well as Facebook. On Twitter, we try to send out all the deals that we get so that you guys get sweet deals. On Google+ and Facebook, we share with you kind of all the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. All right, so I am done talking. This is a good case. If you got $130, buy it. Okay, thank you for watching.